Top of the morning to you again. Welcome down to another episode of Fun, Fit, and Healthy. High off the news we got today, coming out to the President's Camp, that we have visa-free travel to the UK. So that's a really good thing. A lot of person might get an opportunity to see the UK, go sip some tea, some crumpets. Today we have in studio, you've been seeing all the time on the fitness part of the show, but we have in studio today Gita, welcome down. She's a bit nervous, so need to relax. Gita's gonna be talking to us today about her fitness journey, and because she's a regular person, and people that are viewing the show are regular people, and we want to make sure that we get feedback, and you guys get to hear what are some of the experiences that that Gita had, that you might also be having, and we get to share and have a discussion about health and fitness, because again, this is everybody's business, and we want to make sure that we are giving you that kind of feedback. All right, so Gita, welcome down to the show. First of all, tell the people a little bit about you.
Good morning. My name is actually Gitanjali, short Gita. Some of the things I would advise new starters: work at your pace. Don't feel all pressured and obligated. Do it for you, to be happy, to feel happy with yourself, for your health and your fitness and your well-being.
Correct. So we also want to stress that always on the show that once you're starting this fitness journey, you want to make sure that you are doing it for you and nobody else. And that's going to be a staple on the show in terms of the themes that we try to express to you guys. So Gita, one thing I want to talk to you about, like when you decided, what kind of triggered you into getting into health and fitness and starting your fitness journey? What was your trigger?
Well, I was a little stressed with work and studying. It could get overwhelming at times. And a friend recommended your gym, and I decided I need a physical activity in my life.
There you go. Physical activity in your life. Good. So, yeah, so Gita came to our facility, I think you started about 5 months ago?
About 5 months
ago. Yeah, I think she had just graduated from university. She said she was working, had a lot of stress, and one of my favorite client, who's a good friend of hers, recommended our facility to her, and she came across. And Gita's been working very, very diligently. She's been working day in, day out. She also assists on the show and these different kind of things. So, with that said, what would you like to tell the people was your most difficult thing to overcome in the beginning? What was the hardest part for you?
I think the hardest thing was to stay motivated. So the same girl that recommended us, my friend Ariel, she told me to always make notes of things. So make a notes of why I would like to stay in gym, why I'm doing the gym. And some of my whys was to stay happy, so that I could have more quality time with my family, be more motivated at work, be better in relationships in general, and be more healthy. Another one of my whys was to eat better, to start eating better, and by the way, when you do eat better, eat what's in season. Do not go over budget.
Yeah. It's a big thing. It's too much stress. You want eat what's available to you. Yeah. You need to like Chanel root. You don't get time. You do your Chanel root.
I love my root.
Right? And
you also want to after you started gymming, after a couple days, it gets to you. You feel happier, you feel better. You want to do more strength training, you want to do more muscle training, you want to keep coming. But again, work at your pace.
Yeah, so it's a good thing you talked about that, because what you having discussions with women in gym in general, they typically think that if you lifting weights is something that they shouldn't do. So what has been your experience with lifting weights? You could tell those watching what's been your experience with lifting weights, because she's very strong. She lifts a lot of heavy weights. So what would you like to share?
It helped me with gaining the strength I need, like lifting 5-gallon water. You don't depend on anybody else. That's like the basic stuff. It hasn't given me the bulk up that people talk about. It gave me the toning that I wanted. The toning that I need. It gives me the strength. I love sweating. It's
No, so you see.
It's healthy.
Yeah, so you see. So Gita tell you she's able to lift things at home easier. She's able to have more mobility. So there's also a great benefit to lifting weights.
You also feel a bit confident too in the outfits that you wear. You're more toned in them, especially your tights and your armless if you had a problem with the little muscle.
Little bulge, you see? So see, there's a lot of great benefits.
The confidence is really
awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. I really like that. So you guys, you're hearing from another person about what it's like being in the gym and what kind of benefits that you get from the gym. But you also mentioned just now, you talked about eating what's in season. So on the show we stress a lot about how to eat and how to eat correctly, and we typically tell our viewers that it's not necessarily, it's not categorically wrong with rice or bread or anything that you're eating, is that we want to make sure that you're eating the right amount of calories. So when you first started, I think I gave you a meal plan, right? Didn't I? Yeah, and it was very expensive to maintain that. So what advice would you give? Okay, you said eat in season. So what advice would you give the viewers about how you went about deciding what to eat, what alternatives you picked when things are out of season and so on? So you want to give us a little feedback?
Well, vegetable is always good, and I am person, I like to plan my meals on Sunday for the rest of the week. I'm not going to be cooking every day.
Good.
So I usually stick with boiled and fried provision, mostly sweet potato, a little bit of that, and 2 grains. Either it's okra and tomato, or it's a little bit of carrots and bora. That's like 2 really nice examples. You kind of always find bora there. If not, when corral is in season, you could use that too.
So things that are very accessible to you in the market.
Very, yes. And you also have to look for cheap too, because if I go and I see squash at 800, no, I can buy cucumber with some nice tomato, and it makes an amazing stew.
I did not know that.
And you have 4 dishes. Yeah. Of course, Friday you'll make it at your cheat day. You need a cheat day in this life. Good.
So it's something we don't typically talk about on the show. We talk about eating a particular way all the time, but the cheat days. This is scientifically proven that having a cheat day is very, very beneficial towards your fitness plan, because it helps your body. I think it's more of a psychological component to it, how it helps your body to regulate after you've been eating a particular week. Cheat days are important. You must have that, because again, if you're not a competitive athlete and you're basically involved in getting in shape for your own personal benefit, you need to have regular things that you like from time to time. Obviously, in portions, because you don't necessarily want to spill, and then all the hard work that you worked on, becomes undone.
Correct.
So an interesting thing about Gita is from Berbice, right? Can you give us a little example of how different it's been? Some of the challenges you've had maintaining, your fitness plan, balancing life, and getting to the gym, coming from living on your own, more or less. Well, what's that been like for you?
That's been an interesting journey. Some Georgetown folks, they were very welcoming and they won. And they were able to show me the routes and the routes of how to make my life easier here. But it's been amazing living on my own, cooking for myself, finding my own way around town, also with contact friends if I need help on the more difficult agenda or tasks. I keep gym between Monday to Thursday. Friday is my rest day. If I do go on Saturday, I would go home at the Saturday afternoon, arrange a car, leave for home, come back early in the Monday morning, as in 6 o'clock. I will be in town 6 o'clock. Yes, and I'm up since 3. But it's a little sacrifice. It's part of the journey that you enjoy, because you can sleep in the bus or the car.
There you go. So you see, there you have it. Again, we talk about these things all the time on the show. You have to make that balance and make it work for you, because everybody has these different peculiarities and realities that they face. And to keep traveling. Travel is very exhausting. So she's back and forth between Georgetown and Berbice, but she's still trying to carve out that little time for her fitness regimen, which is really, really impressive. We always stress on the show, we talk a lot about the importance of making sure that you are focused and disciplined and trying to achieve your goals. And again, difficulties will come. They will come. But if you're committed to yourself and committed to the process, you will see the results.
Okay.
What would you say was one body part you think that you are most pleased with since you started exercising?
I like my legs and my glutes and my back.
Back. You hear that? The glutes, the legs, and the back. Well, that's good because at the gym we actually stress a lot of training on now. And this is an interesting thing about with your fitness journey. When you start to exercise and you start to see the weight loss and you start to see your body changing, we do recommend that you go to a gym or go to a facility where you have more expert advice and expert training, because what can happen there is you can now zero in on the body parts that you like most and try to train those more repeatedly, because on the show the routines that we give you guys are primarily based on facilitating your weight loss journey, or at least giving you that little push into physical activity. But eventually what happens is that you become acclimatized to those types of workouts. You have to do things to make them a bit more difficult, but again, you got to keep challenging yourself and keep pushing yourself forward and moving the needle every time, because you hear me talk about this all the time in the show, that there's no such thing as a perfect body. It doesn't exist. Once you get to a point, maybe to get the nice plump buttocks and the nice firm arms, a nice tight back, she might want bigger shoulders. I don't know, but it's a thing. You have to be able to have realistic goals, and you want to make sure that you're working towards those goals. Put something in front of you. Put something in front of you, and you work towards that. And I think it is a very good testament of that a process, and you can see that she's seeing the results that she needs. What would you say in terms of the gym is your most disfavorable body part to work? What don't you like to work?
I don't like to work core, which I need to, by the way, because of the roti I eat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't like to work core.
Yes. So the core. Right. So on Wednesday, I forgot you might have noticed, every Wednesday I'm doing the core by myself. But you typically see her every Monday and Friday, because she doesn't like to work the core. Now, core in particular is a very, very tough group of muscles to work. The abdominals actually is comprised of four. I think you have four abdominals. You have the obliques, you have the transverse inverse abdominal wall, and it's a composition of muscles. But the core in particular, why it's so hard for you to work it, is the only group of muscles you have in your body that's not wrapped around the bone. So because it's not wrapped around the bone, you're not getting any assistance from your skeletal structure to help the muscles perform. Additionally, your core or your abs are always working. When you talk, when you run, when you move anything, your core is continually working. But how it works is, I think we talked about this in one of the first episodes, abdominal compression. When you decide to move, your core tightens first, so your abdominals tighten first, so you can add stability to your spine, and then your central nervous system responds and sends the energy to your peripheral nervous system, which are your extremities, which are attached to your extremities and so on. So every time you move, your core gets activated, and then you react. Now, the reason why you want to make sure you're training your core, that's why Geet needs to come and work. So she does work it, but not on the show. But the importance of working your core is that once your body, your abdominal muscles can compress faster, you get quicker reaction times, you have more strength in your responses and more stability in the other muscles in your body. So working your core is very, very important, and it's very difficult for a lot of people. But your core is also always working while you're doing other exercises, if you're doing chest, or you're doing legs, it's always working. But again, you want to work it deliberately and make sure that you're hitting all the body parts effectively. Right, so that's a very good point, very good introduction to an idea. Work your core, even if you don't like it. Work your core, right? Work your core. So this was wonderful. I'm really liking the feedback. Let's see if you have any questions in the chat, if possible. If anybody's on that might be interested in asking questions. No questions so far. Okay, so I have a question for you, Gita. Right, so we talked about how you're able to balance your life to make sure fitness is a part of it. We talked about your ability to have your nutrition. How do you think, you particularly, how has the gym helped you with your cognitive function? Do you find that you're more analytical? Do you find that you're more at peace in your own mental space? Do you find that's a benefit that you particularly have experienced in this journey?
Yes, definitely.
How would you compare? What would you say?
I would like to say that to get up early in the morning and go to work, it used to be, I used to have to take a shot of coffee. Yes, I say a shot of coffee, I literally meant it. To get me up to speed and go. But now, since I started gym, my body is more active, it's more hyper. I'm ready for the mornings, I'm ready for gym, then I'm ready to get to work, and I do all that I need to get done without feeling, gosh, I shouldn't be here. It takes that little sluggishness out of you. It also takes that weary mind. You're always tired, you're always weary. No, on the lunchtime I just walk Regent Street, get my stuff, walk to Border Market, get my stuff.
No, there you go.
Yeah, you just feel up to get everything you have on the list, on the schedule to get out and about.
That's good. That's awesome. So you see, guys, again, we're not imagining these results. These things actually happen once you get going, once you get yourself focused and programmed. When you evaluate anything that you attempt to put your hands at, the things that you're good at, you're typically good at them because you're passionate about it, and it is automated in your response to these things that you're passionate about. So what we're trying to encourage you on Fun, Fit, and Healthy is to become passionate about your own personal well-being. And why I asked Peter a particular question is to to reiterate the importance of how exercise directly impacts your mental health. In this hemisphere of the world, particularly in the Caribbean region, and West Indian culture is typically we typically do not pay much attention to how your mental health impacts every aspect of your life. We tend to think that you're probably people that's not trying hard enough, or people are just they're lazy, or whatever you decide to label a person's mental health illness. We need to be more responsive to that, and exercise is a very, very effective tool in mitigating any kind of mental health issues you may be experiencing.
True, like anxiety, panic attacks and stuff.
Correct. Definitely, because me in particular, I'm going to share a little personal information with you. Me in particular, I would suffer with severe anxiety from time to time. And anybody who's ever experienced anxiety knows that it literally feels as though your spaces are getting smaller, and you think you're being judged by everybody around you, and you start to create these little realities in your brain that don't exactly exist. But it's a real thing, and what I found has tremendously assisted me with managing anxiety is that I go for long runs. I make sure that running is a staple part of my weekly regimen, and running is very, very therapeutic. And I run. I know some of you might have seen me and I should run around half naked. I don't know. But I assure you, it's not being done for attention. It's just being done because that's the best way for me to run, because I run very long. Wet clothing creates kind of drag. But again, to bolster home the point, exercise, when I do that, it directly impacts my mood. It directly impacts my body's overall well-being, and there's a huge degree of benefit to utilizing exercise as a medium to control your anxiety or to control any depressive episodes you may be experiencing. Again, we don't necessarily, those who are experiencing these things are the ones that need these kinds of things the most. And again, we always want to encourage you in the show to utilize the tools that are in your space, and make sure that you're positioning yourself to extract the most benefit from your endeavors or your activities in your life. So, make fitness a part of your life. You don't have to make it your entire life. Because personally, I've seen persons get involved in health and fitness, and they kind of reproduce a different type of mental illness, where they become very super fanatical about the whole exercise, and that in itself is indicative of something else. So they become very intense about the exercise, and they become preachy to other people, and judgmental, and a whole bunch of different things comes into the mix, and you're actually creating an additional problem for yourself. So don't be advising that you don't get into health and fitness with that particular methodology. Does not work. You want to make sure that everything that you do, you can maintain, and everything you do is have a balance, and you have a real definitive benefit that you're extracting from it. And again, you mentioned earlier in conversation, relationships, your personal relationships, your interpersonal relationships. You find exercises helped you to be a bit more, have a bit more favorable interactions with the people in your space.
Yeah, the quality time actually means quality time, no mood swings.
Right.
You do that little extra special thing that's needed to be done.
All right, indeed. I think also to your point, it's important that when you feel good, you want others around you to feel good, and you could be a very good example. Again, you're a very good example to people watching as to what exactly your actual physical representation of the benefit of this type of lifestyle.
It's meant to be uplifting, not triggering in any way.
Correct. So, once you have that, it can't go wrong, folks. It really, really can't go wrong. And it's important. It's so important that we always stress making yourself a priority. A lot of the times, most of us, let me give you an example, right? I had a client one time, and she showed up to the gym diligently every day, and her significant other would drop her to the gym every day. She would be there, and she literally would just be going through the motions. And I later found out, because I fast, I'm nosy, that she didn't actually decide to come to the gym for herself. She was coming to the gym to please him, because he more than likely made a comment about her weight gain, and she internalized that, and she started coming to the gym to please him. But I highly recommend not doing that. If you're coming to the gym, if you're trying to get in shape, if you're trying to start anything, you're doing it for yourself.
Right.
That girl, she didn't last very long, and she didn't exactly extract the most benefit from coming to the gym, because her orientation was not exactly where it needed to be, and that's something you want to guard against if you're starting. You're doing this for you. You're doing this for you and for your well-being. If you feel good, you're able to give what you give people what you possess. So if I want 5,000, Geeta got 5,000. I can't get it from you. She ain't got it. So if you don't got it, you have to get it first and secure it for yourself, and then you can give it to others. And again, this is a staple message we want to keep promoting on the show: the importance of making sure that you are positioned to do so. Right? So, Geeta, again, I don't want to bother you too much, but again, since you've been doing the show with me thus far, I think a lot of persons pay attention to you, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted you to come on the show today, to tell people, about yourself and give a little overview about your experiences have been. So since you've been on the show, have you been people recognizing you on the street or anything like that? Have you experienced any of that yet? Or you don't go anywhere?
Not as yet, and that is true. I don't really go out much. I have my 2-3 friends that I drop by, and that's it.
Nobody sliding in your DMs or trying to hit you up or nothing like that.
I'm on Facebook. So.
Yeah, because it's happening. People see, and you get to like show less skin. I feel like you watch a show, you just show a lot of skin on the show. So, people be.
Yeah, that's why I decided to wear something.
Yeah, to cover it up, right. It's good. So, it's important that, again, this, why I reference that is, this health and fitness is everybody's business, and some people are paying attention. A lot of people are paying attention. Me personally, I get a lot of recently I've been getting a lot of Facebook invitations, a lot of questions, and last week I think we talked about some of the questions that came in. Typically everything is pretty much the same. You're not going to have wildly fantastic questions, but again, we're all in this together. I think, and not to belabor the point too much because we're wrapping up in a few. What I think is important for us to always identify with is that a fit population is a good population.
Correct.
Guyana is on the cusp of, well, already there actually, of huge advancement. Now, if we are not keen, if we're not paying attention, and if we're trying to mimic Western culture too much, we're going to end up in a very, very bad place. You guys may have noticed that they've had a significant influx and more to come of fast food entities coming into the country. And again, I'm not knocking fast food. Again, if you want to have some eat with
fried chicken, burger.
do whatever. Whatever. She should know it good, right?
Pizza.
So whatever you want to have. But at the same time, you have to be mindful as a population as to where we're going or where we want to really identify with. Exactly. Because in America in particular, again, we were trying to get to that first world status. We have a significant problem with obesity. Guyana hasn't exactly, in terms of, there's a study done, I think the United Nations did a study. Guyana hasn't exactly tipped the scale in terms of the obesity ratio. But if we're not careful, we could tend to, because I think Trinidad has the highest obesity ratio in the Caribbean, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that has something to do with the fact that they have a lot of, and they're an oil producing nation, they have a lot of fast food entities there, and it's possible that's why the obesity ratio is a little bit higher there. So Guyana has to be careful because what's about to hit us, and we don't necessarily pay attention to these little back end realities that come along with advancement of or economic advancement of a country. So we need to be very, very careful and aware of how it can affect us from the health standpoint, with all of these entities coming into the country and, people having a little bit more disposable income. You tend to spend that typically on entertainment and food. So, it's important that we make sure that we are doing things to combat some of the harmful effects of an influx of fast food entities. So, you gotta be mindful. And again, the reason why we have these conversations is to advance that information. Again, you can see Gita. You see her every week. She's a real person, real experiences, and real life situations. And she's telling you that she started one way, and now she is here, and it's a part of her life. Even when she goes back home to Berbice, comes back to Georgetown, she makes it still a part of her life. And that is the notion I want to hit home to you guys, is that whatever is going on, it's important that you are making the time for your health. Exercise is not just about the physical. It's very much about the psychological also. So do it. Why not? Want to add something to that?
Yeah, so as a recap, remember, do it for yourself, work at your own pace, buy whatever greens is in season. For lunch, like I said, you don't get too fancy with it. A little provision, a little stew, and you cook your stew with your chicken, and aim for chicken breast. It's always more healthy. Or fish, you bake a piece of fish and go with it. Breakfast, some oats, some boiled egg or fry egg or tuna, what your preference is. I think Mansour have those divided bowls. For dinner, you can make a shake. If you want to snack on something, you have nuts. Nuts is really good, right? It's good protein.
Right, fats, a good balance of fats and protein. So there you have it. There you have it, people. Again, I don't want to belabor the point too much. But again, these are the things that we've been discussing week in, week out. You know, it is true. It works. It definitely works. So we want to encourage you guys that are watching to make sure that you employ some of the things that we are discussing. Employ the tips and tools that we've been giving you on the show. And make sure that you're positioning yourself to make sure that you're getting the best benefit from your pursuits. You know, so you know there's no silver bullet, there's no shortcut to success. It doesn't work that way. You know, there's no pill you can drink, there's no thing you can take that's going to do the work for you. You have to do it. Do it for yourself. So on that note, we will conclude today's episode of Fun, Fit and Healthy. I'm your resident trainer, Coel, and we have Kita. Pleasure having her in the studio to advance the conversation. We'll definitely have her back some more often, and you'll be hearing a lot of stories. Some other people we want to get on the program, and give you guys a little bit of insight as to what their experiences have been, because everybody doesn't experience the exact same thing at the same time. All right, so thank you again for joining Fun, Fit and Healthy on TBN Network. It's a pleasure being here as always. And if your day has started poorly, we want to make sure that you're changing that trajectory by right. So when this visa start rolling and everybody gets in the little visa, you want to go to UK visa free travel. You're gone and you can't enjoy the privileges of moving around in the UK. Go sip some tea and some crumpets, pip cheerio and all that lottie-dottie. Alright, so get on it, start the program, make sure you can maintain it. It is doable. She's a perfect example that it is doable, and let's make it happen. So take care, Guyana. Thank you for joining Fun, Fit and Healthy, and do what you gotta do to make your life most agreeable for you. So take care. See you.